3 hits against a guy with an 80 ERA. Soto's what, 4 for 24 over his last few games? A 435-foot home run and crickets. Lifeless, William. 1, 2, 3, cha-cha-cha. And that's just about it. Run prevention, you're absolutely right. This is a joke. And you know what? It's just not funny. Devin Williams is pitching a lot better. He really is. He's been a lot better. Jose Fernandez. Let's see what this guy does. Let's see if he looks like Babe Ruth. You know, I can't complain about Devin Williams. He's been good. He has. We've got to, give credit where credit is due. Here's that changeup. But how do you get 3 hits off a pitcher that had like a 7 ERA coming in? I don't understand. Well, I do understand. Don't get me wrong. I do understand. They don't hit. But I just, I'm dumbfounded by this. Another good pitch. Devin Williams is pitching well. It's a shame that he's not in a save situation because that's what closers are supposed to do. Dementia Joe, how are you, my friend? This is just, I don't understand. I keep on saying the same thing I know. And there's Devin Williams being Devin Williams of 2022. But I have to tell you, Ryan Nelson, I don't even know what he calls himself. This season, he was 1-3 with a 6.61 ERA and giving up 1.44 whip. A batter and a half an inning. So if you have a little person, you cut it, This is the guy that the Mets couldn't do anything against. And I will tell you, I'm a firm believer. I bet on baseball. Coming from Colorado, teams never fare well the first game. Never fare well leaving Colorado or coming into Colorado first game. Colorado probably would have had 145 wins if they didn't have that advantage last year. 145 losses they would have had. Yeah, the man for man, it's ridiculous in extra innings. But this is getting really scary now. As soon as you do something positive where you start feeling good, the doctor comes in with a chainsaw. Are you ready for your therapy? Okay, Brett Beatty's placed at second base. And we will see what happens here. The key more than anything is just getting the 1 run in. Because I have a lot of faith in Devin Williams, and he probably will go the next inning. He hardly pitched. Did he throw 10 pitches? 12 pitches? I don't even know what he threw, but it didn't seem like a lot. Let's see. Devin Williams threw 8 pitches. So you have him. And, of course, someone else is warming up. Now, why can't Devin Williams, who looked unhittable, if you go, which you're going to go, to the bottom of the 10th, why can't he pitch? Yeah, Wolves, how are you, man? Yeah, this lineup's terrible. As soon as I said that, there's a deuce. Was that Vientos? I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see it. Just stand there. Shut up and score. Wolves, baseball 9. You're absolutely right. This is key. And I got to tell you, I could see putting Tobias Myers in, but I don't think you have to gain his confidence. He's a veteran. This isn't Jonathan. Devin Williams threw 8 pitches, unless you really feel you might need Devin Williams tomorrow. See, if he pitches the 10th, you probably lose him for tomorrow. And I guess it depends what you score here. Good move. Vientos is coming out. And Vidal Brujan. All right. What do you do? You need 2 on the road, yeah, because they play it totally different. And you got a lefty up here, so at the very least, you move the runner over here. And I have to tell you something, Carson Bench, rookie or not, Carson Bench knows what he's doing at bat. He will certainly try to pull the ball and give himself up for an out. He has a clue up there. I don't think he's too overmatched by this righty. He should put the ball in play. Just put the 0-2 now. You got to put the ball in play. Hey, Mary. No, I agree. You have to win today. Because tomorrow you could have a 7. Well, yeah, and I could be Jesus tomorrow. But you could have a 7-0 lead tomorrow, and Devin Williams wouldn't have to sniff the mound. Just put the ball in play. Get the runner to third. So that they frustrate the fuck out of you. Simeon's on deck. Simeon made a great play. He's playing a lot better, Simeon. Oh, almost got that by him, that fastball. Yeah, with a rookie play, you go up the ladder with a lefty or a righty. You go up the ladder. He wasted the first one at his head over the plate, then went a little lower. You know, they're over anxious. They try to do something too much and they strike out. And that's a good at bat. Wow. Ground rule double. The ball flies here. That ball looked like it was hitting 90, 88 off the bat. It went 325 feet, 330 feet. Do you see Benj doing this and all the nonsense? Okay. And he's got great speed. Now you want 3. You absolutely want 3 here. There's no reason not to get 3 runs here. Okay, we'll see. Okay. We're making our move. Never have enough, especially in Arizona. This is big. Let me throw the air on. I used to be superstitious. Generally, I wouldn't touch anything. Okay. And this is a guy I'd want up right now. Good take. So I hope you're all doing well on this Friday evening, Saturday morning. Oh, good pitch. So I hope you're doing well. I was at a radio bingo tonight. Yeah, you get a bingo card, and they play songs. I didn't win. I knew the songs though. The people were impressed. The first note of the song, oh, this, that, the other thing, and they said, "Wow, you really know your music." I said, "Yeah, it doesn't do me any good." Already that we're going to get into it, but there's rumors already that Freddie Peralta's on the trade block, which I found out Chicago didn't even talk to Stern, so that was an erroneous report. They did not have any conversations. It's Melendez, I'll tell you, he's actually been very good. He looks very impressive. Well, first of all, he looks athletic. I don't think he's a real positive fielder, but he's a pretty young guy. What's he, about 28? This is key here. Oh, that was a nasty pitch. That was a nasty pitch. Pitching change. I will be back in a second. All right. So this is big. Got to get this running. Big difference. 2 and 3 run lead. Tremendous. Especially because they're starting with a ghost runner. 2 run lead, home run right off the bat. They're tied. Home run off the bat, you're still up by one. Now this is look, you see, to me, you're not supposed to be in this position. You're going against a terrible pitcher that couldn't get anybody out the whole season, and you have your ace in. And look, McLean did what he said he had to do. No, not a bio break. Hey, Seth. Lamb salad almond. Oh, boy. An aristocrat. So, 3-1. We really have to. Jonathan Loizaga, sure. Get tortured more. Oh, Alvarez. Oh, my God. Don't get me wrong. I know Alvarez cares, but you have to care and hit. Well, we'll see. Come on, big hit. If he would have got caught off third with that play, I would have had. I would have been doing this from my iPhone because I wouldn't have been able to see the comments on my screen here because there'd be a hole through it. I have to tell you, Simeon's been playing okay. I saw that, Seth. Yeah. Well, he doesn't like Stearns because he knows Stearns didn't want him. You also couldn't say that if the Mets were 21-10. And of course, here we go. You got to be kidding me. I think I've seen enough of Alvarez, to be honest with you. I've seen enough of Alvarez. If you could package him for something good, I certainly would. I've had enough of him. Unbelievable. And of course, if you get a hit here, that doesn't mean a thing. And that's why players have to pick up their teammates. And there you go. You know what? First of all, I don't even know why he's in. Look, we have a 2-run lead. Uh, I don't know. I'm not sure, Seth. I would say Myers because I had him warming up. But what a shit show. So much promise. You know, you score 3 or 4 runs there, game's over. Unbelievable, huh? I would have gone with Williams because he's a strikeout guy. And he looks good, William. He's been terrific his last 3 outings. He threw 8 pitches. Why not run him back out there? I can see if he threw 15 pitches and you don't want to, lose him for 2 days if he has a tough inning, but let him try to get the first out. And then if you want to bring Myers in, bring him in. But I hate the 2-run lead because the home run ties it. Dementia Joe, you know what? I trust him a little more right now than Myers because Myers is coming off that terrible outing. Now, do I think Myers should rebound from that outing and pitch well? Yeah. But you have a guy on the mound that's pitching well. They haven't hit this guy in 3 games. He's looked terrific. And why wouldn't you march him out there with 8 pitches? And Tobias Myers. It's interesting because God forbid the Mets don't hold on here. Mendoza will get destroyed. Whatever Mendoza does here, he will not be a hero if he wins, and he'll be the GOAT if he loses. Because they'll say, how do you remove Williams? And Myers pitches to contact. I don't know why you wouldn't want Williams. Control's been great. No, is it that important to establish Myers with a little more confidence now? I don't think so. We'll see. Incredible. 1-1. Let's go. Let's give us what we need. Good pitch. That was a good pitch. Challenge. He just asked the Met catcher, was it a strike? What do you think he's going to say? No, you're right. Boom. Go to first. That wasn't even close. That was a good pitch. I don't know what he's possibly looking for. What could you be looking for? And a pop-up. In the infield, Simeon squeezes it two-way. No one squeezes it anymore. All right, let's see. 2 out. There's a strike. And Myers looks like he means business, huh? Boy, did that pitch look like a pitch that would go down the left field line. Come on. Tell me. High pop. No, I promised you guys a happy dance, right? So I really feel so good about this right now that I'm preparing. Ball game's over. The Mets win it. And you get to see the Vinny Bracco happy dance. There you go. The happy dance. Put it in the books. Happy recap. We will have a different happy dance every game. That's a big win. That's a big win. Because coming off a sour taste game like yesterday, you have to win this game. You have to. You have to give yourself a chance. You just need a chance. And we got it. So, big win. Our ace doesn't get the win. But look, he pitched very well. There's nothing to write home miserable about. Yes, William. Good win for the Mets. 3-1. They're still not hitting. They picked a good time to get a couple of hits, actually. But you can't. 3 hits is unacceptable. I, the Mets make every negligible starter look like a hero. I don't get it. I don't get it. They just they continue to baffle me. But look, we get the win. Yeah, right, Joe. For 384 million, should we expect 5 runs and an easy win? Soto 0 for 4 again. Yeah, Soto doesn't look right. I don't know if he's not healthy. Maybe he's just in a slump. He was hot. I think he's like 4 for his list, 24, 25. He looks terrible. We'll see what happens. But look, big win for the Mets. Um, I like what I saw in the extra innings, the 10th inning. I thought it was great. And look, good call by McLean went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits. Devin Williams, big game. Vientos 2 for 4, the biggest hit of the game really, and a couple of big hits. Vientos again. We're ready to give up on Vientos, and if it's not for him tonight, we lose. So it's a good win. It's a good win, and it's a win that it does make me shake my head because I just don't know what's going on with this team. I don't know what's going on with this team. I don't understand how they can have just such an inept lineup. Now, all right, you come from Colorado. The stats are terrible when teams come from Colorado or arrive there. True. But, Mets aren't in Colorado every game. This is every night. Every night it's just a disaster. But, I think that we just have to hope that this can start something for us. I'm just going to turn the camera off for a second. You just got to hope that this can start something for us. It really worries me that this team just can't hit. It really does because there's just no reason for it. I just don't get it. This lineup. How the hell can this lineup just not hit? You have Bichette. You look at the back of his baseball card. It's incredible. It really is. And they just continue to fight on. And just when you give up on them, they'll have a good run, which they've had. But I don't know. It worries the hell out of me. Really does, because I just wonder where we go from here. Is this going to be a season of the next 5 months where we are hoping for a grain of hope and then, manage 3 hits? Now, I'll be interested tomorrow. Tomorrow, we certainly have the advantage tomorrow. We have Merrill Kelly, who has an ERA of over 9. Holmes has been the best pitcher on the Mets. And look, there's no reason to think that the Mets can't put up a win and can't put up a couple of runs at least on Merrill. I certainly think. Oh, I know, Joe. That's the scary thing. The schedule is not kind to them. After Arizona, Detroit comes in. Detroit doesn't have any offense. You're not facing Skubal, but then you have the Yankees. And it's It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Look, the only thing we could ask for right now, when you're coming from such a lackluster first month, are series. Yeah, May. Well, that's the key, Joe. If through May, in the next whatever they have left, 17 games in May, maybe, or 18 games left. If you can go 10-8 and hit June, and the funny thing is, the Mets have played up at times to their competition and played down to their competition. So I'm not totally worried about the Mets. It's either the Mets are going to hit or not hit. It's not that the Mets don't hit good against good pitching and they rack against bad pitching. The Mets just don't hit. That's the problem. There is no continuity in the lineup. You never have three guys going at once. The night that Vientos looks good, Soto's 0 for 4 and looks terrible. Bichette doesn't do anything. When Semion's having a good game, the Vientos looks terrible and lost. Alvarez has looked lost for a month, except for a big hit the other night. And I don't know what the key is to open up the floodgates here. I really don't know. It gets to the point where you really just wonder what we're doing here. It is a solid win, Joe. It's certainly a solid win. It's a win that I didn't expect after it was 1-1 in the ninth. But you know what? We got it. It was rough. It was a tough win. We got there. We did what we had to do. And now we live to fight another day with a smile on our face. And we just have to hope that this next day we continue to smile. And it's rough. It really is tough because, you look at this team and you scratch your head because every time you look at the lineup, then you'll see Semien get hot and Vientos, you'll wonder, like, okay, maybe these are the guys that we expected. When Bichette has a couple of hits and a couple of RBI, Soto, it's a 430 up as a field home run. And then you start, and Alvarez cracks a double or a single to right center, hit 98 miles an hour. You start to think, look, McLean has been good every start. He hasn't been an ace every start in terms of length, but he's given you 5 to 6 innings of, one-run ball. Freddie Peralta's been 5 innings, Freddie, but he's still, you look at right now. You look at the stats, and McLean has a 2.78 ERA. That's an ace. Freddie Peralta is under 3. That's an ace. Holmes is 5 or whatever. That's an ace. You have 3 of your top starters on the Mets. The first 3 guys have ERAs under 3 and 1 under 2. And you're 8, 9 games under 500. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And I'm just looking at this now. I'm looking at this now, and I have to tell you, I can't see this team just not hitting all season. I really can't see this team just continuing not to produce. You look at the back of the baseball card here, and there's just too much hitting. There's too much hitting. Bichette's a lifetime, whatever, 300 at 290, whatever. And I told you guys, Bichette, there's no doubt in my mind, Bichette will be hitting at least 265 within the next 6 weeks. Interesting to hear about a possible trade, Freddie Peralta. I don't know who put that out. But look, it would make sense. Not now. It doesn't make sense now, 36 or 37 games in. Doesn't make sense now. It makes sense June 15th if you're 15 out, 10 out of the wild card with 9 teams ahead of you. And maybe you think about it. Maybe you strike while the iron's hot, because you have to remember the only other pitchers that may be available at the trade deadline. Schoolball's done. Skeens isn't getting traded. Mary, I think it wasn't a trade. They signed him, but it had to be. They had to. They had to. They were getting destroyed in the media, and that was a Cohen move. They signed him a half a day after they lost out to Tucker. They needed to make a splash, but I think Bichette will get traded. Problem is, there's an option for $42 million, and the team that trades for him, if he decides to stay, they have to pay him $42 million. So the Mets are going to have to kick in money there. It's not worth it to unload him for nothing. But Peralta, I think, Peralta will get you something in return. The Zach Gallons of the world could be available. But really, I would think Peralta would be the guy. Yeah, the media went wild, and Cohen didn't want to hear it. That was a middle of the night move. There's no doubt in my mind he texted him in the middle of the night, Stearns, and said, "We've got to do something." Bichette wasn't in anyone's vocabulary, and all of a sudden Bichette signed. And for all intents and purposes, if you watch the Philly, they thought he was signing with Philly. No, the Mets paid them $10 million more. I think Philly offered him about $33 million. The Mets said, "We'll give you 42, with an option out where you can opt out or stay in." And he makes an extra $5 million, I think, or something if he stays. It was a ridiculous contract. They needed to do something. And look, you were getting a hitter that was a solid playoff performer. The guy has always been a good hitter. He's always been a wild swinger. But he doesn't strike out all that much for a guy that swings the way he does. He strikes out less than 140 times a year, 130. Everyone strikes out 150 times a year now. He goes to right center. He's a guy that gets 40 doubles a year. He gets 65 base hits a year, extra base hits. And he won the batting title. No, he won the batting title. You grabbed someone who was a 300 hitter. Now, you gave him $42 million and put him in a position that he had never played, but I have to tell you, he was playing third base fine. He wasn't a negative. I think he was a positive 1 run saved. He was a -4 the first 10 games of the season. He really improved, Bichette. He's been fine. Bichette is not the problem defensively. And the Mets are, I think, 4th in the league defensively. 4th in runs saved. 4th or 5th. Last year, I think they were like 28th. The Met defense has been better this year. Now, it's also because Polanco hasn't played first. Vientos and Beatty have made a few errors between them at first. You take the first base place away, the Mets are probably in second place defensively. Soto's been fine in left, although he's been hurt. Benj is terrific. Taylor, I don't think Taylor is what he was a couple of years ago, but I think Taylor has lost a step in center field. Also, it's yes, that's a great Mary roster construction. That is, it's very well. It's a bunch of hired guns, a bunch of mercenaries. He put a bunch of guys that had good stats on back of baseball cards, and he hoped that they would all mesh and hit to the back of their baseball cards. And honestly, if you had every one of these guys hitting to the back of their baseball cards, this team would probably be in first or second place. Because if they were hitting to the back of their baseball cards, you'd have Bichette hitting 300. You'd have Soto not hurt hitting 300. You'd have Lindor playing well. You've had Simeon playing well. Right? the Mets have gotten, I think, better out of their top three than they thought they'd get. Because if you ask the Mets day one of the season that after 36 or 7 games, Freddie Peralta and McLean would have ERAs in the 2.7s and Holmes would be 1.47, they would have said, sign me up. Even if you said Peterson was a wash and Minaya can't pitch anymore, still sign me up. Because they have to have 11 or 12 wins between them. Right? They've each started, 6 games? How do they not have at least 9 wins with ERAs of 2.7, 2.7, and 1.4? Because they haven't hit. If you would have told anyone that the Mets were going to score 18 runs in a 12-game losing streak, they would have thought you were crazy. It's impossible to score 1.5. Playing the teams that were playing. You were playing teams with terrible pitching staffs. And teams that lost 100 games last year. So, yeah, I think this was an aberration. I don't think you'd ever have another start like this. If you played this season over 100 times, this was the time that this was going to happen. I'm not saying you'd be 500. Maybe you'd be 17-19, 18-19. You wouldn't be 10 games, 9 games under. Everything went wrong. Now, if Soto doesn't get hurt, then they win another game probably. They probably win another one. I don't think 2 in 12 games, maybe 1. If Holmes did the job, there's another 2 wins. If Minaya doesn't blow 2 games, there's another win. If Peterson pitches even at 500, there's another win. That's 5 more wins now. Now you're looking at 16-19. Or whatever it is, 17-19. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. And they are slowly pulling themselves up from the bootstraps. This reminds me of your car getting, for those of you in the East, for your car stuck in snow. And you're trying to rock it back and forth, reverse drive to try to get it out of the spot. But while your tires spin, you're flattening the snow to almost like ice. Now it's more slippery than when it was powder. And after a while, you're doing more damage. And that's what happens with the Mets. At this point, even when you have a great year, all you're looking to do is win series. You're looking to be 500 on the road. If you're 500 on the road, you should be a 95-win team. Think about it. If you're 500 on the road, 40-40, 40-41, whatever it is, right? You're not supposed to be 50-30 at home. It's 90 wins. If you're a good team and you happen to go 4 over on the road, now you're at 95 wins. Because most good teams are 20 over at home. Between 15 and 20 over at home. Yeah, dementia. I think slowly but surely, the way you dig out of this hole is just what you're doing now. 2 weeks ago, they lose this game. No doubt in my mind they lose this game 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Vientos strikes out. 2 weeks ago, Devin Williams walks the first batter he faces. And they blow a double play. Little things have turned their way. Little things have turned the Mets' way. It's incremental, so you don't really see it because they're still so far out of it. But, winning 3 series in a row, That's something, especially on the road. You got to remember, they're going to win 3 series in a row, and they're road series. I don't care how bad a team is. They're usually representative at home. They usually don't get swept at home. Even crappy teams, they lose 2 out of 3 at home. If you lose 2 out of 3 at home, that's a 100-loss team because you're losing on the road 7 out of 10. They've done this on the road. Not great teams, but Colorado spanked them at home. They beat them. Angels have a good offense. They've cooled down, but they had a very good offense the first 25 games of the season. And you're going into a place in Arizona that they play well at home. You're supposed to beat this pitcher. You're supposed to beat tomorrow's night's pitcher. Sunday, if you lose to their worst pitcher, and you've set yourself up to where if anything crazy happens, you sweep, and the worst thing that happens is you win 2 out of 3 coming home, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong going 6-3 coming home to play Detroit. And Detroit, you got to beat them 2 out of 3. I don't expect you to sweep Detroit. Detroit's a good team. But you go 2 or 3 against the bad teams on the road, and the good teams at home you go 2 and 3 against. You don't get swept at home. Yes, Mary, the small things are changing. First of all, it's not really hard to find them. Devin Williams has looked outstanding his last 3 outings. He's been great. Brazaban continues to be very good. The top 3 in the Mets starting rotation continues to be great. They even figured it out with a starter in Brazaban, an opener. I personally am surprised Kimbrel's still on the team. I don't want to see Manaea pitch again. I don't know how they're going to work that out. Well, look, the Mets have a built-in way to work that out. He has bone chips in the elbow. MLB will not question them at all if they put him on the disabled list. Say, look, he's got chips. We pay this guy $25 million a year. We want you to have the surgery. See, I think that's what Stearns has to do. Whoa. We pay you $25 million a year. We want you to have the surgery. You got a 9 ERA. It should be up to you. Kimbrel shouldn't be on the team. I think they're probably trying to get another 3 or 4 or 5 innings out of the relievers in Syracuse before they bring them up. They probably feel they're not quite ready. Justin Hageman will be brought up. That'll be the guy that's brought up. Hageman might have pitched 2 of the last 3, and they couldn't bring him up for this weekend anyway. And usually when stuff like that happens, it would happen on the homestand. Usually, if Kimbrel's in Arizona, they're not going to release him and send him home from Arizona. They're going to let him fly home with the team to New York. He's a veteran. You're not going to fly him off alone from Arizona. You don't do that. You wait till Monday morning, and when you get home, you make the move. You DFA him. It's not unlike. Usually veterans don't get released on the road on the West Coast. It's kind of disrespectful. You wait till he comes home. You bring him in the office. That's what you do. And I totally believe that Kimbrel might get DFA'd Monday morning. I would think that's when it would be. And Justin Hageman probably won't pitch this weekend. They'll tell them not to pitch him. So we'll see. Look, you have to make little moves. You're getting the window is cracked open. The smoke alarm is on. And you see a crack in the window and a possible way to get out, or at least get some air until they come. You don't go in the other room and look for the other window to be open when you see a crack in this one open. You don't go across the whole living room and then drop of smoke inhalation and never get out. You try to get that window open if you see the crack, and you do everything you can. And that's what they need to do now. Yeah, Ray. That's what they need to do now. They need to say, okay, look, we won 6 out of 9. I'm saying they split the next two. We won 6 out of 9 on the road. Coming from a 12-game losing streak, pretty good because you're still on the road. What's the best way we can win now? To me, Kimbrel goes down, Hageman comes up. Another 2 weeks to 3 weeks, another 60 to 70 at bats. If Ewing is still hitting 300 and tearing it up, you bring Ewing up. I have a feeling Robert's going to be down for a while. I would be very surprised if we might see Robert around when we see Lindor. I think we'll see Lindor probably around June 15th. They're not going to rush Lindor. I thought Lindor would have been out 8 to 9 weeks. That's what I think it'll be. I think Robert, with his history, I think they will keep him out. You're going to keep him out. He's going to go on a rehab assignment for 2 weeks. You're not going to just bring him up. Yeah, Torrens is a great pickup. The Mets stole him from the Yankees. They do. Jose, how are you, man? You know what? If he wins, he wins. The reason why they're putting him leadoff, I'll tell you why. Because anywhere else in the batting order, he's going to get walked. They're not going to walk the leadoff hitter in the first inning. They don't want to open up a big inning for themselves. You're going to pitch to the leadoff hitter in the first inning. Any other time, he's going to be walked around. They're going to pitch around him. He's not going to get any good pitches to hit. Ewan with Bichette, who's getting hot, you're not going to put Soto just pitch around him in the first inning. So the Mets are at least assured that he's going to get one good at bat. And if he turns on it, it's a home run. And you're up 1-0 going into the bottom first. So that's what the Mets are trying to do. They're trying to assure themselves right now to get Soto at least one good at bat where they're going to pitch to him. The only way you can assure that is by leading him off. Bichette. Now, I disagree when they say Bichette's been terrible. I don't think he's been terrible. I don't think he's been great, but I don't think he's been terrible. I think they'll leave him at leadoff. Well, because he probably doesn't like batting leadoff, Jose. I think they'll keep him leadoff. Like, you got to remember, too, Mendoza struck gold with Lindor going to leadoff. He was a genius when he put Lindor up at leadoff. And I think he feels he could do the same thing with Soto. Remember, he took a number 2, 3, or 5 hitter and made him a leadoff hitter, and Lindor finished second in the MVP voting. He probably feels Soto's a better player than Lindor. What are we going to get out of Soto? Ray, eventually, either Ewing or Carson Bench is going to be your leadoff hitter. I wouldn't be surprised if come August, Carson Bench is your leadoff hitter. And yes, it is right. And Ewing, I don't think they'd want to give him that kind of pressure. You bat Ewing ninth with his speed, Carson Bench leading off, and Soto second. You have 2 leadoff hitters now, batting ninth and first, and Soto batting second, with Bichette third. You're going to get a lot of run opportunities. Ewing steals bases. Bench is going to steal bases. They're going to get on. You have Soto and Bichette. I like it. I would Alvarez, he's 24. It's a little look, if you're not giving up on Vientos, you're not giving up on Alvy. Do you agree with that? If they're not giving up on Vientos, how are you giving up on Alvarez? Alvarez's defense has taken a step back. He actually was very good framing the ball a couple of years ago. He's like number 2 or 3 in the league. I think his at-bats bother him. I think his whole game bothers him. I think he brings his bad offense to the plate. I certainly do. I think that, look, when you look at the talent at the catcher position in Major League Baseball, Alvarez is still probably your sixth best catcher in baseball. Scary. Because Alvarez, as bad as he is, Alvarez, if he plays every day, he's going to hit 15 to 18 homers and knock in 65 runs. Find me catchers that do that. 4 of them. Mary, the problem with Vientos is tonight. Soon as we get sick of him, he wins a game for us. And there's no doubt in my mind if you send him away, I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Fame player. He's going to play very well somewhere. I'll tell you something. He never complains. He gets frustrated, but I like his makeup as a player. I like Vientos a great deal, his makeup as a player. Jose, I would think the Cubs will look for Peralta. Astros aren't going to be competing. The Cubs would want Peralta. That's the team that would make. I would trade Peralta and Ewing for Crow. Try to get him back. Crow Armstrong. I would try to get him back. I don't think you can. You'd probably, if they were ever going to give him up, you'd have to give them Tong with Peralta. No, I don't think so. But look, I think this is what the Mets have to do Monday, depending on what happens in the next 2 days. Right? Kimbrel might come in and be lights out the next 2 nights. You don't know. But I do think that Kimbrel should be designated for assignment. And I totally agree not sending him home from the West Coast and embarrassing him. I totally agree with that. He deserves more than that, an 18-year veteran. I know it sounds weird. We got to win games. He deserves that. He deserves to come home on the plane with the team, be able to say goodbye to the team on the plane, because they'll know. Get a chance to say goodbye to all the guys. Because once he is DFA'd, he's probably not coming back. So give him the respect to say goodbye to the players, the coaching staff. Say goodbye to them. You own that. No, the Mets are going to want someone off the Major League roster. I think the Mets. I think the Cubs would be interested in him because I think the Cubs feel they can win the World Series. The Cubs have an outstanding offense. They're like top 5 in baseball. They have a great offense, and against lefties, I think they have the number 1 in baseball against lefties. They rake against lefties. Peralta would be a nice addition. And the funny thing is, that has become a pitcher's park now, Chicago. Peralta would do very well in Chicago. I agree that they should start shopping now. Get ahead of the curve just to see. It's too early to make trades because teams still think they're in it. The Mets still think they're in it. But Stearns has to be smarter than everyone else. And you got to remember, you have to remember something that I'm preaching to you. Okay? Listen to this very carefully. Okay? Press 1 if you want to hear it. I will tell you why. If I see a 1, and I'll say it really softly. He wants to rebuild. He wants to rebuild. Stearns doesn't want this team. He likes Freddie Peralta. He acquired him. He acquired him twice. He's a great guy. He's Stearns' kind of guy. He wants to rebuild. It's not too early right now. Mary, take care, and thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the wonderful words. I really appreciate it. He wants to rebuild. And if he can rebuild now, he'll do it. He wants to beat the curve because you can get a lot more for Freddie Peralta now than you can when he only has 8 starts left. If you trade Freddie Peralta right now, he has 24 starts left with a team with 25 starts. Right? If you trade him at the trade deadline, he's got 8 starts left, 9 starts. Yes, Ray, he could trade Freddie Peralta now. The new team will get him for 5 months. And the Mets can save a lot of money because Peralta's not making any money. You got to remember, Peralta is making $8 million this year. Peralta makes nothing. If you trade him at the trade deadline, the team owes him like $1.5 million, the team that trades for him. That's why he's worth so much more than Zach Wheeler, than anyone else available, because those guys are making $30 million a year. If you traded for Zach Wheeler, if they ever gave him up right now, you have to pay like $28 million of that contract. Right now, you can get Freddie Peralta for like $6.5 million. An ace to put right next to your ace. You don't think that you can get more for Peralta in that circumstance than if they only have 8 starts with him? That's why I don't care if Skubal was available. Well, you'd have to give up for Skubal, and you still have to pay him. Take care, Joe. Peralta, you don't have to pay him anything. Cohen could even say, you know what? We'll pick up his salary this year. We want your number one guy in your organization. We'll even throw that in. You're getting Freddie Peralta for free. We're paying his salary this year, but we want your number one guy instead of your number 3 if you had to pay him. A lot of teams will do that. They're in a great position. Bichette, you have to wait on. You have to wait for Bichette to get hot. It really screwed the Mets that Lindor got hurt because Bichette could have played 35 games at third base and proved that he could play third base and short if you had a pinch. How about having an even defensive guy at third who's actually playing better third than shortstop, but he can play shortstop if you needed him to? That's big. And he's proven to you that he can play third. So I think you put it out there. Only serious inquiries. Don't call us as Freddie Peralta available. We'll give you your number. We'll give you a number 28 pick. No. Don't waste my time. I'm hanging up on you. You want to talk about Freddie Peralta this early in the season, you better floor me with an offer. I mean, you're number one and a guy off your roster that's 24 years old, that's a very decent player, and you're number one guy in your minor leagues. Preferably, maybe a third baseman. Who's your number one third baseman or center fielder? Or catcher? Or reliever? San Diego, if they were in the market. We want that great reliever. Relievers only matter if you're winning games. But I do think, yeah, the Knicks might win the whole thing. I never believed it, but the Knicks just look that good now. Um, Look, I think that there is going to be a lot of inquiry, whether the Mets play well or not. But if the Mets fall out of it, hey, Hayden, uh, Stearns will get calls about Freddie Peralta. And he'll get calls about Bichette because teams will think they can get Bichette on the cheap. Now, you're not getting him on the cheap because he's owed $42 million this year. So anything the Mets do, they're going to have to pay some of that salary. No team is going to take Bichette on and have to pay him $30 million. They're not going to do it. I don't know in the guidelines of baseball how much you could pay. But, if Bichette's hitting 300 at the All-Star break and is on, and he's been tearing it up, it all depends on the injury market too. You got to remember, the Cubs are terrific. If their number one starter goes down, all of a sudden, Freddie Peralta, you need Freddie Peralta, or you're not going to win. Teams like Oakland, who would like nothing more than to go into a new stadium off a playoff series, even if they lost it. You don't have to pay Freddie Peralta anything. And they have a good minor league system, I believe, Oakland. Yeah, absolutely. And the first one that will be traded, you mark my words, is Brazaban. Because by then he's going to pitch another 3 or 4 openers. And they're going to say, look, they're going to pray that he has a 2.5 ERA, that he's still with a whip very good. Look, he's an opener. He opens for us. He's opened 5 times for us. Got through an inning or 2, and he's great. They're hoping that Brazaban would be the guy. He's 34 years old. That's the guy you want to trade. I think they'd listen with Weaver. I think Stearns likes Devin Williams. He was a Stearns guy in Milwaukee. I think he likes Devin Williams. I think he knows he needs a closer. I don't think he's giving up on Devin Williams. Unless, of course, look, if Devin Williams goes on a heater and he saves 15 in the next 17 games, and he's got an ERA at 2.5 over the last 3 months, and the team's reliever goes down, and they open up the bank for him and give you a top prospect, yeah, then I trade it for him. I'd give him up. If you're not going to make the playoffs anyway. You see, the thing is, I, in my heart, really believe that Stearns doesn't want to make the playoffs. I really believe that. I really believe that Stearns doesn't want to make the playoffs. I think Stearns wants to fiddle around 500 for the rest of the year, that he's far enough out that he can unload people. And let me tell you, your number one trade chip is Peralta. The guy's making $8 million this year. If you traded him at the trade deadline, the team getting him, I think, owes him $2.5 million. It's nothing. Can you imagine all these playoff team like Toronto for the playoff run? They just missed last year. If they get hot now, Detroit, Skubal's out. How about Detroit? They want to stay in the race. What do they have to give you? Right? Teams always need a good number 2. He does, right? Because he feels he knows them better than everybody. He knows that organization. You got to remember, he was there when they drafted them. Look, that's why he loved Benj. When did you ever see a guy like Stearns say he has a great shot of making our everyday roster and being our outfielder? He said that as early as January. He wanted Benj to succeed Stearns because that was his guy. That was his first draft choice as the head of the Mets. Wanted to be, that's my guy. And Stearns was right. Stearns drafted Benj. It looks like Benj is pretty good. And there again, I don't doubt Stearns knowing baseball. I'm sure he does know. I guarantee you, this guy knows the top 10 players of every organization. He could probably verbatim knock them down with their stats. He's probably very good at that. I don't doubt it. But he also thinks Stearns is a moneyball guy. You don't hear that term anymore. Stearns is a moneyball guy. Stearns feels I don't have to have Pete Alonso hitting 250 with 35 and 120 when I can platoon Vientos and Polanco there for 25 million and get 28 and 90 and save $12 million. Then that $12 million, instead of giving it to a top reliever, I'll take two guys that have had good years in the past, and they just have one bad one, and I think our pitching coach could turn them around, and they're 5 million each. Yeah, it's all analytics. You know what happens, Ray? Teams do an internal audit. They compare each of their players, and they pick players that are similar on other teams. So I'll show you an example. And I know this for a fact. Polanco. You signed him for first. What's he making? Like 20 million? If you look at guys that give you Polanco's stats, they're probably making 13 million this year. So right now you're a negative 7 million. Bichette's stats, if you compare them to someone making 28 million, you're overpaying him 14 million. You're 20. So right now you are 21 million in the deficit with two players. Two players. You're already $20 million in the hole, $21 million in the hole. You're paying Devin Williams. You're probably overpaying him for $4 million. If you go through this lineup, Simeon's a $13 million ball player making 20 plus. The Mets are probably in a deficit of at least $75 million. Value, player value compared to value of players similar in MLB. That's how you tell how your front office is being run. Minaya, you're overpaying probably $18 million for Minaya. So you're in a deficit $18 million for the next 2 years. And because he hasn't gone on the disabled list, you're not even getting the insurance money back, so you're paying that. All of a sudden, I've just 4 players were at $65 million. Negative production. Does that sound like a team that's being run well? No, what happens is you overpaid for Bichette because it's how desperate a team is, the need. The Mets were desperate. You think if they offered him what Philly offered him, he was coming to the Mets? He'd be playing third base for the Phillies right now. The Mets paid him probably $8 to $10 million more than Philly offered. And they gave him a sweet buyout at the end where they're going to pay him if he leaves. Philly wasn't giving him that. He figured, all right, I'll get lucky here. I'm 28 years old. I'm still under 30. I'll have a 25. I'll hit 300, knock in 100 runs here, and I'll get myself 40 million for 8 years next year. That's what he thought. Bo was a pivot move. And honestly, I don't think Tucker would have helped the Mets either. And they didn't want Tucker because they have Ewing and Benj. Where are you going to put Tucker? That's really why he wasn't hot after Tucker. Stearns loves Ewing, and he loves Benj. And Benj is a better right fielder than Tucker. Tucker has regressed. Tucker was a great fielder 3 years ago. Tucker's an average fielder now. He's regressed a lot. Benj is a better right fielder than Tucker. Has a better arm. And Ewing, I think they want to be the center fielder. Ewing is a better center fielder than Bench. Ewing is like 5'7". Ewing is the epitome of Altuve. I don't think he'll ever hit 30 homers, but I think if Ewing is successful, I think they see Ewing as a 290, 12 homers, 65 RBIs, 45 stolen bases, 40 doubles, 7 triples, 100 runs scored, and Gold Glove type defense. That's what they look at Ewing as. Benj, I think a little more power, maybe not as much speed, although he should. If Benj played every day, he'd steal 40 bases. He's got about 7 now. Stearns has his eye on 2028. 27 he feels is going to be an upset strike year. In 28, I think he wants Ewing in center, Benj in right, Soto playing one of his last years in left before he switched over to DH. I think he wants Clifford at first. By then, he'll hope he can have 2 years left in Simeon's contract and get rid of him, or be a mentor for the second baseman. That's what they want. They'll probably move Lindor to second base within 3 years. Lindor's not going to be playing shortstop at 35. Lindor's going to be the Mets second baseman in 2 years, probably. Less wear and tear on him. He's getting older. And they were hoping Vientos would be the third baseman. They thought they had the catcher in Alvarez. He's 24. And then they thought they had Wettinger and Tong. They were hoping Peterson would be all right. They have McLean. Holmes is still only like 31. Jonathan Santucci's down there. They have a couple of relievers that throw 99. I think this is what Stearns wanted. But he was forced to put a team on the field because Cohen wanted that casino. I don't doubt that Cohen wants to win, but I think now he'll be more careful. I think he'll spend to win, but I don't think you're going to see Soto contracts. In fact, I think within 3 years, Cohen sells the team. I think his excuse will be, with the casino, it's really conflict of interest. I own a sports team. I own a casino. That's the bullshit you're going to hear. And he deals with all hedge fund guys, so probably deals with a lot of guys that wish they could own a baseball team. Stearns is also, at that point, will be 75 years old. And I think, he'll sell to someone that wants a team. Might keep a small interest in it. I think he likes to sit in the owner's box. I can see him keeping 15% of it, 20% of it. Get his owner box and, be able to say, own a team. But I could see it being a double-day Wilpon situation where someone will buy more of it, or maybe Cohen keeps 51% so he could be the majority owner and farms out $1 billion someone has to pay, and that pays for the casino. I think there's a lot more to this season than meets the eye. I think Stearns had a lot more going on with Cohen. We're not in on those conversations. I personally think Stearns said, look, I'll put a winner out on the field. I'm going to get a bunch of guys that have good careers. I don't know how they're going to gel. We're going to take a chance. The worst case scenario, I pawn them off at the trade deadline and I rebuild the team with 5 young top players. For Peralta, you can get probably 2 to 3 really good minor league players. For Bichette, another one and a guy on an active roster. You flip Brazaban for a young arm. And I think Cohen bought it. I think Cohen trusts Stearns. I think he gets frustrated, but I think he trusts him, or he wouldn't be here. And I think Stearns would rather this team not totally embarrass themselves, but not be in a position to win. So he could unload Bichette, Peralta, Brazaban, Holmes, and bring up Wettinger and Santucci and Tom and say, well, here's the young, new, exciting Mets. Come out to the park. These are going to be our future stars. That's what he'll sell. And you know what? Met fans will still come because we're all suckers. And we still go pay $8 for a bottle of water and $45 to park the car because we're all fucking baseball fans. And we'll have our next wave of Ron Darlings and Darryl Strawberries and Kevin Mitchells called the 28 Mets. That's what I think they have in their minds. And I think Stearns is on the phone every day checking on players. And right now he's probably getting a feel for who might be in the market, whose pitchers have, kind of disappointed them. You have teams now that pitchers haven't done very well, just like the Met players. So we'll see. But this is a good win. I think it was a very important win. I think the first game of a road series is always very important because the thing you're guaranteed of, you can't get swept. There is no, unless you're the Colorado Rockies and you're going in there is no disgrace in losing 2 out of 3 to a good club on the road. There's no disgrace in it. When you're a good team, you don't get swept. Now, I know it happens, but you go in and win that first one in this fashion, a tough extra inning game, which you wouldn't have won last week. Little things turn into bigger things. 3 series wins ends up being 5 in a 5-game win streak. Ends up being 3 games under 500 with 100 to go. You've seen the Mets go 40-20. The Mets have had outstanding second halves over the last 10 years. They did it twice. Mets are very capable of, they've shown us that as crazy as this team is, they also are capable of doing what we believe is the impossible. So we'll see what happens. But congratulations to the New York Mets for an outstanding win. I will be on tomorrow, probably within the 9th inning or whatever. And hopefully we'll be talking about there's another series win. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great, great Saturday, and I'll see you later. Let's go Mets.